Hey guys, I wanted to do one of these videos again because you guys seem to enjoy it with the Lords of the Fallen review. Whenever I have, a lot of comments and quite a lot of backlash for a video, I do actually enjoy responding to the comments. I try and respond to all the comments actually on the video, but you guys seem to enjoy when I do like a video form and I do a little bit more like explanation behind my responses for comments. So I figured we'd do it again for the GTA 6 video that I just recently uploaded. I won't, go into everything that I said in that video. You can watch that video if you're interested, but I do want to reply to some of the comments that I got on that video because a lot of people were essentially just saying the same thing over and over, and I wanted to reply to a lot of those criticisms. So let's get right into it. First thing I'll say though is people were actually nicer than I expected. I thought this video was going to get a ton of backlash. It's actually sitting at like an 80% like rating, like to dislike ratio, which is really surprising. I honestly thought it'd be at like 40%. And people have been a lot nicer than I thought about it. There have been some unhinged individuals, but for the most part, people have, been pretty respectful. So let's get into it, shall we? The first thing that I saw a lot of people saying, and I think this is just natural because it's probably console people commenting this and they don't really understand a lot about PC gaming, but the number one thing I saw from people is saying, of course it's going to be delayed because of piracy. If a game releases on PC, it's just going to be pirated to hell and back. It's going to be torrented. No one's going to buy it. So that's why it's delayed. And this is just not true. And I think that's just, like I said, comes from a place of ignorance from a lot of console people. But, back in GTA 5, this was absolutely true. Games were being torrented usually within the first couple days that they were released, right? They were cracked. And in case you don't know what this terminology means, maybe you are a console gamer. When a game comes out, there are certain groups, we call them scenes, and these scenes essentially work to crack the code. And once a game is cracked, it is then able to be torrented and shared amongst, everybody online. So when we talk about if a game is torrentable or not and how long it takes to be able to pirate a game, we talk about how long it takes to be cracked. And, back in the day of GTA 5, which was like a decade ago, absolutely this was true. Games were cracked within a day, sometimes even before release. And, but we're much, much better at that now, or I should say devs are much, much better at that due to the advancements of DRM. And DRM is essentially, I don't want to go into all the technical mumbo jumbo, but it's essentially like protection against cracking, right? And the number one DRM that is extremely successful is called de novo. And this thing stops people in their fucking tracks. If you put de novo on your game as a developer, it's not getting cracked. In fact, it is so hard to crack that there is only one group or scene that is actually able to crack de novo. And their name is Empress. And Empress is a basically a schizo. For lack of a better word, they're fucking insane. They're absolutely a crazy, unhinged individual. And you can pay them, I believe it's $500. It may have increased up to like a $750 or something like that. But you can essentially pay them in like Bitcoin and shit if you want them to crack a game for you. Of course, nobody ever does this because the people who want to pirate a game don't want to spend money. So nobody ever does this. Nobody ever pays, the $500 or whatever for Empress to crack a game. And as a result, de novo is basically a lock and chain that will prevent anybody from torrenting your game until you eventually take de novo off, which most devs wait about a year or so, and then they take off de novo. So, Red Dead Redemption 2, which obviously came out much, much later than GTA 5 when DRM technology had advanced a lot, that took well over a year to actually get cracked. So this is just kind of a common misconception. If Rockstar doesn't want GTA 6 to be torrented, they could implement de novo. They could implement some sort of Rockstar Social Club integration that is necessary in order to play the game on PC. And as a result, it would take well over a year, if not longer, for GTA 6 to actually get cracked and be, piratable. So, yes, this is not nearly as big of an issue. Plus, on top of that, the vast majority of people that play a game on PC, they just buy it. The actual numbers for torrenting and stuff like that are very, very low. There's tons of YouTube channels from like developers that have talked about this before because they have access to how many people are torrenting their game, so they know these things. And it's a very small percentage of actual people playing games on PC. So yeah, this argument is not really an argument to me. That it's for piracy. Now, one thing I saw a lot is that, like a ton, is that it's to make a better PC port. Specifically, I saw several people saying, well, do you want a Jedi Survivor situation on your hands, right? Do you want like a fucking broken ass PC version of the game to come out? And obviously, no, I do not. However, many games come out at the same time on PC and console and run phenomenally on PC. And by the way, Jedi Survivor ran like shit on console as well. So that's just kind of a poor argument because the game ran like shit on console also. But let's talk about a couple games this year that released with perfectly acceptable PC versions. And this is just this year. We had Hogwarts Legacy. And like I said, that was acceptable. It wasn't phenomenal, but it was, completely acceptable PC version. We had Hogwarts Legacy, Dead Space Remake, that had a little stuttering issue, but nothing that big. We had Atomic Heart. We had Resident Evil 4 Remake, which was phenomenal. We had Dead Island 2 Remake, which was phenomenal. We had Diablo 4, which ran great on literally everything. We had Exoprimal, same thing, ran great. Remnant 2, Armored Core 6, Lies of P, Alan Wake 2 just recently. Okay, so these are a lot of like AAA games that are releasing with either really good PC versions the same day as console or completely acceptable PC versions. And in fact, I'm going to throw this one in because I know what a lot of people are going to say. They're going to say, well, that's not nearly as technically impressive. None of those games are as technically impressive or intensive as GTA 6. Well, first of all, what I would say to you is we have no fucking idea how impressive GTA 6 is. I mean, we just have a cinematic trailer. That's it right now. We don't have gameplay. We don't have any idea how large the map is. We don't know how swapping characters is going to be. We don't know if multiplayer is going to be in the game day one, which it's probably not. So we don't actually even know. We're making a whole lot of assumptions about how technically impressive GTA 6 is going to be based upon a cinematic trailer. But I would say that Starfield is actually a very technically impressive game as well. I mean, it has well over 600 planets that you can go to. Yes, there is loading screens in between them, but the actual tech on display in Starfield is very impressive still, even with all of the issues of Starfield. And I'm not a big Starfield fan or defender or anything like that in terms of the quality of the narrative or the quality of the gameplay. You can see that in my review I did of the game. I believe I gave it like a 6.5 or maybe a 7. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but Starfield is kind of a good comparison for me of like actually a little bit better than the bare minimum for a PC port that I would, be happy enough with. Because all I need in a PC port of a game is for the game to run and to run at an appropriate level for the hardware that it's running on. And here's what I mean by that. I mean, if your PC is a 2070 Super and like a PS5 equivalent CPU and everything, then I think it should run at PS5 levels or maybe a little bit worse because, it's not as optimized. So I think it should run at 30 FPS. right? Just like the consoles. However, if you have like me a 3080 Ti, right, and you have a good CPU and good RAM and stuff, then I think it should run at like 60 FPS. And that's all I want. I don't need my game to be 120 FPS insano mode, right? I just want performance that is, appropriate for the hardware that it is running upon. And I think Starfield is actually better than that. Like, I played Starfield day one and I was always at like 80 to 90 FPS with everything on high. And now, 2 months later, they've done a lot of optimization for the game. And now I actually run it at like a constant 120 FPS and 1440p with everything on high. So, like, Starfield is a very good example for me for what I would like to see in a GTA 6 port. Like, if they could just release a port of GTA 6 where you do need quite a strong rig in order to run it, just like Starfield, but you're going to get 60, 70, 80 FPS. Maybe you have to turn down some of the settings or something like that in order to play it. I think that's completely fine. I would much rather be able to play, and I think if you asked literally any PC gamer on the planet, they would agree with this. I would much rather be able to play the game the same day as console people, but it's not the most optimized, polished version of the game, right? Like a 60 FPS or 70 FPS. I would much rather have that over having to wait an entire year and have it spoiled for me. Because look at Starfield, right? It came out, it wasn't the greatest port. You definitely needed a strong rig to run it, but you could play it at day one, and it's gotten much better over the course of a couple months. And I think that's what we would see with GTA 6 is we would see it comes out, it takes a beast of a rig, and it's not super duper optimized, but then over the next couple months it would be better. That's way better than having to wait an entire year in order to play it at all and then having to wait for the patches on top of it, right? So, like, I'm not asking for the sun, the moon, and the stars or anything, I am asking for just a pretty good port. And here's the thing. The reason why I think almost all PC gamers would agree is because if you do want that super optimized port, guess what, dude? You can wait. Because you would have already had to wait a year in order to get the PC super optimized port. So if it comes out day one and it's a lackluster port for people and they want to wait for it to be super optimized, they absolutely still can, and they have that option available to them. I think that's much better. I just am pro-consumer, man. That's all. I want all of us to be able to play this highly anticipated game at the same time, not worry about spoilers, not worry about anything. That's all, So, yeah, I think that argument for like, oh my God, you're going to get a Jedi Survivor type of port if it comes out at the same time. And also, you could just delay it all. And I know console gamers don't want that. They want the game as soon as possible. But like I said, I would be saying the same thing if it was PC exclusive for a year. I'd be saying just delay it and have us all play together because I don't want console people to be left out. And I feel like console people would be very, very angry if it was reversed. But I just think that they can't really put themselves in that mindset because they've never experienced it themselves, right? It's hard to put yourself in someone else's shoes when you've never been anywhere close to their, situation, right? So that was something that I definitely saw a lot. Another thing that I saw was people saying, oh, like, why are you surprised by this? They've always done it, yada, yada, right? To read an exact comment, knowing how Rockstar works, it should have been obvious that the PC version wouldn't come right away. And my response to this was basically, like, all I really have to say, I feel like, and that makes it okay. If I punch you on a regular basis, then it's fine because I've done it to you repeatedly, right? And this is kind of the weird rationale that some of these people have is like, oh yeah, you shouldn't be upset by this because this is how it's always been. That doesn't make it okay, right? Am I surprised by this? No, obviously not. I have a brain. I'm able to see the history. I expected this, but that doesn't mean I'm not disappointed and angry. And it doesn't mean I shouldn't be disappointed or angry. If I walk down an alley in the middle of the fucking night, alone. And I see a dude coming towards me with a knife, right? And he decides to mug me, and he stabs me a couple times. It takes all my shit. Am I surprised that this happened? Not really. I put myself in an alley alone at the middle of the night. I saw a dude with a knife, and I just kept walking towards it, right? I'm not surprised about what happened. However, I think I'm pretty fucking justified to be upset about the fact that I just got robbed and stabbed a few times, right? Like, this whole argument is a little bit silly to me. Yes, it doesn't make it okay that they've done it multiple times. I've never been okay with it, in fact. And if, back in the day, GTA 5, 10 years ago, I was making videos and ranting videos and stuff like that, I would have made a very similar video to what I just made. Okay? So, let's not get it twisted or anything like that. Just because they've done it before doesn't mean it's not scummy or anything like that. And then I had I had a couple people say something that I can't fault them for, which is, let me see if I can find the comment. Here we go. Funny thing is, you're going to double dip anyway, and because you will, they'll continue to do this. So I can't blame people for thinking this. They think that, oh, I'm gonna fucking buy the game on PC, and I'm gonna buy the game on console. I'm gonna be double dipping. That's just not true. I am gonna play it on console, but I'm going to be buying it used on console. I'm just gonna buy somebody's copy off of eBay. And Rockstar doesn't get any of the money, or Take-Two, whoever the hell gets the majority of the sales. They don't get any of the money when you do that. When you buy used, it's just a transaction between me and that dude, right? So Rockstar doesn't get any of the money. So that's what I do whenever something like this happens and it's, anti-consumer and I don't want to give my money to the company. That's what I do. So that's what I'm going to be doing personally, is I'm just going to be buying it used and they will not be receiving my money. So I can't blame people for saying that, because I did say, since I review games, I'm going to play it anyway. I got to play day one. But yeah, it's, and also I saw some people saying, oh, well, if you have a PS5 and you're going to play it anyway on PS5, then why are you complaining? I'm fortunate. Okay, I'm a very fortunate person under very fortunate circumstances to where I have far more disposable income than the average person out there. And as a result, yes, I have a Switch. I have a fucking PC. I have a PS5, right? I have all of the systems so I can play all of the games. But the average person isn't like that, right? And there's a lot of people out there that have PCs. Maybe they spent all of their money that they could for gaming on their PC. It's not right for that person to be screwed out of this experience and now have to have it spoiled for them, or have to scrap together some money in order to buy a console. There's a lot of people in the comments being like, yeah, all I have is a PC. I guess I'm going to have to scrap together a couple $100 and buy a Series S so I can play the game. There's a lot of people in that situation. So just because I'm a fortunate individual and I have all of this stuff and I'm able to play the game, it does not mean that it makes it okay. It doesn't mean that I should not try and be the voice for individuals that are getting screwed over by this. I mean, that's just absolutely silly logic. But I think that that's about it. Overall, like I said, pretty positive reception, actually. I was surprised. I was expecting a lot worse. And I've only so far gotten a couple unhinged people. So props to you console gamers and just, GTA 6 fans and stuff like that. You guys are definitely better adjusted than the Lords of the Fallen guys, because, wow. Those guys, they were definitely a little more toxic, but I try my best to give people warnings whenever they're being toxic, and then I delete their comments, and then if they continue to be toxic, then that's when I'll just, ban them. But for the most part, yeah, like, people have been pretty fucking nice. So, yeah. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I am probably going to continue making videos down the line like this, where if a video of mine gets enough comments and stuff like that, and enough differing views to where I could make a video replying to people, then I will, because like I said, I like replying to people and you guys seem to enjoy watching it a bit. So yeah, thanks for watching. Have a good one. See you later. Bye 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 bye.